Hi everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Michaela Duncan. I am currently a graduate student and dietetic intern at Benedictine University. Today we will be discussing the role of branched-chain amino acids, otherwise known as BCAAs, as a supplement in the sports nutrition world. BCAAs. Maybe you've heard of them or maybe you haven't. BCAAs are a supplement commonly known to the sports nutrition world. Oftentimes, they are used with the intention of reducing muscle damage and speeding up the recovery process after an intense workout. In other words, to help prevent soreness. Why is it desirable to prevent soreness? Oftentimes, athletes equate being less sore to a better workout the next day, and therefore are able to achieve their goals faster. BCAAs have also been proposed to alleviate central fatigue from exercise and therefore allow you to work out for longer. Many athletes may also choose to consume BCAAs to fuel lean tissue maintenance and preserve skeletal muscle performance. Overall, the desired outcomes of BCAA consumption in an athlete's diet include aid in recovery time, greater increases in desired outcomes such as strength or lean muscle mass, and being able to train for longer at a higher intensity. But are BCAAs actually effective? Let's take a look at the science behind this supplement. When performing in resistance-based exercise, such as strength training, lengthening contractions are a powerful stimulus for neuromuscular adaptation when compared to shortening contractions. Lengthening contractions are when the muscle is fully activated and forced to lengthen due to a high load. An example would be lowering a barbell in a bicep curl. This prompts skeletal muscle damage, which can promote small tears in muscle fibers, otherwise known as exercise-induced muscle damage. This is what leads to the soreness that athletes want to avoid because it can last for several days and therefore slow progress. BCAAs are essential amino acids, meaning they must be supplied by your diet. The amino acids that are considered branched chain are leucine, isoleucine, and valine. They are catabolized in the muscle and have been shown to regulate skeletal muscle protein synthesis. BCAAs are considered high-quality protein. Consumption of high-quality protein in combination with resistance training has been proposed to help preserve muscle mass while also trying to lose weight. Not only are BCAAs thought to preserve muscle mass, but they are also thought to lead to greater advances in muscle mass because they may suppress post-exercise protein deprivation. Regarding fatigue, BCAAs may help lessen fatigue due to their ability to compete with tryptophan in crossing the blood-brain barrier. The reason this is thought to lessen fatigue is because the increase in blood concentration of free tryptophan and serotonin in the brain during exercise is one of the proposed mechanisms that contribute to central fatigue. Therefore, a decrease in tryptophan to BCAA ratio after taking BCAAs results in reduced central uptake of tryptophan and serotonin synthesis. Now that we've talked about the science behind BCAAs, who exactly is this supplement intended for? How is it used? The following table highlights 8 peer-reviewed studies on BCAAs. Included in the columns are participants studied, form of the supplement, dosage, timing of supplementation, and whether or not it was found to be effective. To get a better idea, let's take a closer look at the Howitson study. The aim of this study was to examine the effects BCAAs had on reducing negative effects from damaging exercise. The participants of this study were 12 trained males who were competitive rugby players and familiar with resistance training. The study consisted of a 7-day loading phase, and damaging exercise was performed on day 8. Creatine kinase, muscle soreness, maximum voluntary contraction, vertical jump, and limb circumference were measured pre-exercise and then at 24-hour intervals up to 96 hours post-exercise. Regarding the dosage, participants ingested 10 grams of BCAAs twice per day, and the supplement contained a ratio of 2 to 1 to 1, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Dosage was based on manufacturer recommendations. Additionally, following an overnight fast, participants ingested a further 20-gram bolus 1 hour pre-exercise and immediately after exercise. The BCAAs were in powder form and they were mixed with 300 milliliters of water. Looking at the table as a whole, a majority of participants in these studies were male. With the exception of one study, all studies utilized a powder form of supplement. Timing of supplementation varied greatly. Some had the full dosage ingested at once, while others divided it into twice per day. Dosage also varied. Some studies had a set amount regardless of body weight, and others calculated dosage based on grams per kilogram. For example, the Chang study used 0.17 grams per kilogram. For someone who weighs 130 pounds, which is 59 kilograms, that would be approximately 10 grams of BCAAs per day, which is slightly more than a majority of the 8 studies in this table. All but 2 of the 8 studies found BCAAs to be an effective supplement related to sports performance. Results of the Howitson study displayed that BCAAs were effective in reducing the negative effects of damaging exercise by lessening creatine kinase efflux, reducing residual muscle soreness, and improving recovery of muscle function. When administered before and after resistance exercise, muscle damage was reduced and recovery was accelerated. The Van Dusseldorp study was one that did not find BCAAs to be effective. This was the first study to examine BCAAs normalized to body mass while undergoing a strict dietary control. Results demonstrated decreased perceptions of soreness in resistance-trained individuals with several years of experience. However, no significant effects were observed between groups for creatine kinase, maximal voluntary isometric contraction, or vertical jump. Data suggested a minor impact of BCAA supplementation on muscle function during recovery from muscle-damaging exercise. So, exactly how safe are BCAAs to be taken? According to RxList, BCAAs are, quote, possibly safe when taken by mouth appropriately. It's important to note that you should not take BCAAs if you have had a recent musculoskeletal injury, if you have epilepsy or other medical conditions that would be exacerbated by protein consumption. One such medical condition would be diabetes. So research indicates that increased BCAA levels may be markers of type 2 diabetes. However, it's unclear whether they are involved in developing insulin resistance. Another medical condition would be liver problems. So there is an association between high levels of BCAAs and non-alcoholic liver disease and liver injury. You should also not consume BCAAs if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. It's always important to remember that BCAAs are not regulated by the FDA and therefore could cause a positive drug test. That's because the FDA isn't checking what's actually in BCAAs, so there could be something in it that isn't listed on the ingredient label. The Illinois High School Association bans the following class of substances: stimulants, anabolic agents, diuretics and other masking agents, peptide hormones, and analogs. So BCAAs by the Illinois High School Association are technically legal because they don't fall into any of these categories. Regarding the NCAA bans the following drug classes: stimulants, anabolic agents, alcohol and beta blockers, diuretics, narcotics, cannabinoids, peptide hormones, growth factors, hormone and metabolic modulators, and beta-2 antagonists. So BCAAs would also be legal by the NCAA. And then the World Anti-Doping Agency states caffeine is illegal, so it would be important that if you are going to purchase BCAAs to make sure that they do not also contain some form of caffeine or pre-workout, because a lot of times BCAAs will be combined with some sort of caffeine. So what are some third-party approved brands of BCAAs? So if a substance is not third-party regulated, that means that there could be impurities and risks for potential contamination. I have listed 3 brands approved by NSF, but there are plenty more. These are just the first 3 that I found. So the first one would be the Extend BCAAs, the second one is Herbalife, and the third one is Nutricost. So regarding cost, I have listed 2. I listed the Extend BCAAs. So for the Extend BCAAs, it's $29.99 for 25 servings of 7 grams of BCAAs. And so the second bullet point is regarding if you were to take a lot of these studies that I looked at, they took something like 7 grams, but they took it twice per day. So they were taking a total of 14 grams per day. So therefore, for a whole month, you would need 420 grams of BCAAs. And this container only provides a total of 175 grams. Therefore, you would need 2.4 containers to meet the total 420 grams, but this means that you would obviously have to buy 3 containers, and therefore you would be spending a total of around $90 just for 1 month of the Extend BCAAs. So looking at the NutriCost BCAAs, these were definitely a cheaper option because it's $27.95. So basically the same price, but for over double the serving, because it's 60 servings of 6 grams. So this would be adequate supply for 1 month, ingesting 12 grams per day. But it's also important to note that BCAAs are essential amino acids, so you do have to eat them. Your body cannot make them, but you can get them from food. You don't have to just get them from supplements. So the best sources of BCAAs are meat, chicken, fish, dairy products, and eggs. So if cost is an issue, then don't freak out. You can still buy foods that have BCAAs and you don't have to spend all this money. So, in conclusion, a majority of the studies I looked at did in fact find BCAAs to be effective regarding some aspect of sports performance. So, aiding in recovery time, greater increases in desired outcomes such as strength or lean mass, or being able to train for longer at a higher intensity. All of the studies kind of looked at different outcomes, but like I said, 6 of the 8 did find the specific outcome that they were looking at to be improved by BCAAs. So BCAAs are considered a legal option, but it is important to purchase a brand that is third-party certified if you are going to be competing competitively. However, if you are tight on money, I would try to just eat foods rich in BCAAs and save some money in supplements. But in the end, the choice is up to you, whatever you think works best for you and your body. And it also kind of depends on if you're competing competitively or if you're just training recreationally. But thank you for listening, and here are my references.